And in walks the first of several new members to the Raw roster, Ethan Page. And he tells Javon he wants the IC title belt too. And Adam Pearce, he had a busy night partying last night. He's got to put together a card. So, of course, we've got an open slot. Ethan Page versus Javon Evans.
Yeah, I was wondering why there was so little announced for this particular Raw, like when, we were checking in the afternoon for the preview and everything. And of course, it makes sense. I mean, plenty of it was to be saved for surprises in the form of NXT call-ups. And, honestly, like this is one that I think to anybody watching NXT should have been obvious. But of course, like upon his entry into NXT, there are always question marks for somebody who, has maybe been in the business for a very long time. How old is he, by the way?
Ethan Page is
quick Google search.
I want to say like 36.
36. Maybe? Okay. I mean, these days that's, I would say, feels kind of average, but. You never know because he's competing with like a bunch of 20-something-year-olds like a Javon Evans. So would they have seen that value? But this NXT run, I don't think could have gone better for him. He's proven just time and time again just how valuable and how talented he has been. So you have to be, of course, happy for him, being a fellow Southern Ontarian.
In terms of just a guy that came in and like worked his way to the main roster, I think like this was someone that I am sure when they signed him, they may not have had main roster aspirations. The guy just worked really well and just like any situation he was put into, you could just see the confidence they had in this guy, whether it was sending him to AAA or putting him with new projects, signing him to feud with Javon for all those months as well, like where the focus was clearly Javon. And over time, like you could see like this guy made a mark for himself and, it was time. Mm-hmm. The question will be as well. It's been a lot of people's time all at the same point this year as well.
Yeah.
Ethan Page, Javon Evans, they really played up like their feud in NXT, the street fight they had in New York, breaking Evans' jaw. And so I like that fact. We're not like pretending these are just two people that ran into each other backstage. Evans hits a stunner, but then Page takes over for a while. There were several big dives from Evans. Page managed an iconoclasm and then power slam immediately after. And as they're on the floor, Page gets posted and Page gets super kicked on the desk when Rusev appears in the timekeeper's area, getting into Javon's face, who leaps onto him. And Page gets knocked off balance knocks Evans off balance to stop an OG cutter, hits the twisted grin. So Page gets the win. And then Rusev jumps Evans. Penta runs out to fight him off. And Page takes out Penta off the top. And he's hit with a Machka kick. And Penta is put in the accolade. So you took from this that all these guys want the Intercontinental belt. And Rusev seems to be at the front of the line. Judgment Day come out. We're going to hear trouble from now until the end of eternity. And the crowd is chanting, "You deserve it" at Liv. And she takes the mic. Thanks to Judgment Day. And even thanks Vicaire for beating the hell out of one another. It reminded Liv who she is, the most talented woman in WWE. This is my division, my show. And there to interrupt her is Sol Ruca, who Michael Cole notes, these were the final two in the Royal Rumble, and then had to correct himself during the match that it was in fact Tiffany Stratton, who has completely been forgotten, even by Michael Cole's stats guys, and explained they were in the final three. So this leads to Ruca. She calls Liv the top woman, congratulates her, but then Liv says, "You are no Liv Morgan." And Sol explains, "I didn't come here to pick a fight." It's like, well, why are you here then? What did you plan for this to work out like? And she's not going to back down from a fight either. And when you know it, Adam Pearce, who is he's nursing one today. Jessica Carr, next match. This is how New Year Dash should be every year. It should be like Ghetto coming out, and he's just like, he's got Tylenol, and he's just off that Wrestle Kingdom high. And we get Liv Morgan against Sol Ruca, impromptu. So I thought Sol Ruca looked very good in this match. Mm-hmm. She got a lot of offense in. She hit an X Factor, and Ruca kicked off the post for a moonsault to the floor. And then Sol comes off the top. It gets caught in midair with a code breaker. Ruca counters the Oblivion, and with it, she takes a kick, and Ruca hits the Soul Snatcher, and this place goes wild for the move. And when Liv rolls out of the ring to avoid the pinfall, the whole crowd boos. And that sets up a space-flying tiger drop by Ruca to the floor. She just looked great here. And then out of nowhere comes Zarya at ringside, sending Ruca into the post. They tease the count out, but she gets in right at 9 in position for Oblivion, and Liv pins her in 11 minutes and 57 seconds. I thought this blew away Liv Morgan's WrestleMania match. This was way better. They got double the time, and I thought this was a great introduction by Ruca, and also they also promoted this last woman standing match for tomorrow night with Zarya as well.
This was, I thought, really, really good. And I guess of the two debuts, I think, to me, the stronger one. Although I thought the Ethan Page one was very strong as well. But that particular sequence where she countered very impressively the Oblivion with that sort of headstandy or handstand type of thing directly into the Soul Snatcher, directly into this crazy dive. I mean, it lit this crowd up, and I think immediately reminds you and even tells people who might not have already been aware of exactly what makes her so special among the roster. She's already had appearances where I think she's done that, but this is the one that mattered the most because this felt like the proper call up, and she nailed it. I thought Liv selling that much for her was just great booking to show that Sol Ruca immediately upon entering is already at this level. She did not lose to Liv Morgan. She lost because of Zarya, and of course as a way to build to NXT tomorrow. I thought all of that worked incredibly well. And of course, a setup for Liv versus Sol in the future you could look at.
Oh yeah, you can certainly run this one back. I would think that Sol being attached to the Judgment Day gives her multiple matches with the women. Mm-hmm. Next week on the show, they announced Becky Lynch back, who was not on the show tonight, and Joe Hendry in concert, who Michael Cole states is on Raw for good. So that is Hendry being called up, and clearly no room for him on this show. And this is probably a better introduction for him. Hopefully the concert gets over well. It's a good enough concept. And
yeah, this is still a big question mark to me about what his success and what his ceiling is on the main roster. I think holding him back a little bit for the Mania cycle certainly was a smart move. It gave him a little bit of credibility by giving him the NXT championship, and kind of held him back from essentially a show that really wouldn't have had any airtime for him anyway. But I still question how much they gained from that NXT run, because I just don't see a whole lot of depth in the character. Beyond these sort of musical things, but these musical things they could really get over on the main roster.
In front of the right crowd, it will work. So I think this is the best opportunity to introduce him rather than just your typical interrupt your heel segment. All right, before we go, Tuesday night is NXT Revenge, which might be turning into NXT Goodbye for several. Sol Ruca Zarya in a last woman standing match, and Keanu Carver versus Joe Hendry. What do you think they do with Hendry in this match? Do they just have Carver run through him in this match? Or because it's not always they just throw the guy going up to the roster to the wolves. Sometimes they don't want the guy to lose on the way out, but Carver is clearly a big focus for NXT that I would imagine they will put him over in this match maybe.
I would think so too, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they just had some level of interference to somehow protect Joe Hendry in the loss. I do imagine you will get maybe some sentimental standing ovation moment for Joe Hendry, I guess pun intended, in his case, and also for Sol Ruca, because this will likely be her goodbye. So.
It is WrestleMania month at postwrestling.com. Wei Ting and John Pollock go live all WrestleMania week beginning Monday, April the 13th. Sign up for the Post Wrestling Cafe and you will get live shows all week long leading into our coverage that weekend of WrestleMania 42. This month, we're also bringing you reviews of Spring Break 2 from New Orleans in 2018 and a special Patrons Pick edition of Rewind Away. Sign up now at postwrestlingcafe.com, and this month, new subscribers get 50% off for the first month. Head on over to postwrestlingcafe.com.